Hey, who's here? Ed! Ed, where are you? I don't think this is a very good stream. I already see the camera screwing up. Yay! Hi, Ed! And John! Hey, John. Here, I gotta make you a moderator. Thank you. Since you both have contacts on my Facebook page, if anything goes wrong, you know what to do. So, here's a really, wow, interesting development. So, is this stream okay? Because it's jumping. The camera's jumping all over the place. Is it okay? Because I'm going to the Englewood Police Department. Seems good? Okay. Maybe it's just on my end. So you guys watched the live stream the other night for the incident at King Soopers, right? You saw what happened. At the very least, at the very, very, very least, any responsible police department, that's a bad combination of words, I know, but let's go with it. Any responsible police department would take a citizen complaint like the one I made and investigate it, right? Now, what would happen during the investigation and what the end result might be are two different things. But these assholes have gone so stupid and so brazenly, we don't give a shit how far we have to go to violate our oath. We're not investigating your complaint, lady. Far. That's how far these idiots have gone. So, you know there's a history here in Englewood. You're aware of it. You've all seen it. My involvement here started a year ago. But I had heard a lot of stories about Englewood, and I never had any opportunity to look at it, address it, nothing. And I try not to just pop in and pop out because that's a waste of time. You're not going to follow up on anything. Don't bother. If you're looking for a lawsuit, fine. Yeah, there's a million ways to get that done. And here is definitely one of them. I will say that. Englewood, hey, all you auditors and auditards that are looking for lawsuits, they're right here in Englewood. I'll tell you right now, straight up. So all of you that love to sue and can make the time to do that and do it right, which is about none of you, come on over here. Seriously, and get busy, because this is the place. I've got several reasons that I could as well, but I'm not going to because I don't have time and it doesn't serve any purpose. So this internal affairs, Professional Standards Bureau is what it's called here in Englewood, is ran literally by one sergeant who cited for me today in an email that they do not even have to investigate my claim of a quote-unquote formal complaint of that officer idiot Brian the other night violating HIPAA law and interfering with my recording. They don't even have to investigate that. You know why? Because in their internal policies, they have a definition to formal complaint. Not formal complaint. It's actually the word formal. And here it is. Let me read it to you. And this is what he cited. This is 7 pages of email that I'm going through. Number one, my complaint was very valid. It was very detailed. It was very outlined. I had 3 parts to my email to Sergeant Reed, Sergeant Chad Reed, that runs the Professional Standards Bureau in here. I had the formal complaint, I had some questions, and I had some feedback, and they were all very detailed. This is how he responded to it initially. In reviewing the video and any applicable policies, there's no indication that Officer Lipa, aka Brian, B-R-I-A-N, violated any internal policy. I am fully aware that you have every right to film officers in their official duties. However, the gentleman that the officers were interacting with was in a mental health crisis. So what? The word however does not excuse you from breaking the law. And Brian, B-R-I-A-N, broke the law. You asked if officers are trained to make a medical diagnosis. Yeah, I did ask that question. And I asked a bunch of other questions that he didn't bother to answer either. And again, he says, however, as it pertains to this particular situation and others that are similar, yes, officers are trained to make a mental health evaluation and then seek further medical attention if warranted. So is further medical attention putting a guy in handcuffs and putting him in the car? Or is when you heard the other officer say to him, do you want us to take you to the hospital? And the guy said, yeah. So my other question was, since when do cops do medical transports? And if this man was in such a crisis, and according to Brian, B-R-I-A-N, the man was sick and he needed help. So where was the ambulance? Yeah, those questions didn't get answered. So Sergeant Reed here includes for me in another email exchange. Under Englewood Policy 101 4.3.1, complaint classifications, please refer to the following. Formal. The word formal. A matter in which a supervisor determines that further action is warranted. Such complaints may be investigated by a supervisor of rank greater than the accused member or referred to the Professional Standards Bureau, depending on the seriousness and complexity of the investigation. So here's what their policy says. Do you remember when Sergeant Jessen drove up on the scene out there in King Soopers? Hey, Bohica. I'll catch you up in a minute. So you remember when Sergeant Jessen drove up out there and he gave me his card and I said, oh, look, a sergeant. Possibly, hopefully, I don't know. Someone with a brain on the scene. So right then and there, I could have filed a complaint with Sergeant Jessen on his as his superior, as Brian's superior. And right there, Sergeant Jessen could have said, yeah, I saw what he did and it was bullshit. And yes, I think a complaint is warranted. And then he would have had to submit it to Sergeant Chad Reed in the Professional Standards Bureau. And then Sergeant Chad Reed would be the stopgap to making sure that that complaint goes any further. These fuckers are corrupt. They are seriously, seriously corrupt. So I've had several experiences with this agency now, and I've gone full circle now, and I see that what they've done is true based on what other people have told me. I always try to give them the benefit of the doubt to do the right thing or prove themselves, whatever. You don't trust a one of them, and this is exactly why. All cops are guilty until proven innocent, and none of these fuckers are innocent. None of them. All the way from the chief down. And if you'll recall, I was in here back in September to hand deliver a formal complaint on Sergeant Chad Reed for not performing proper, thorough, and transparent investigations in the Professional Standards Bureau. And actually, his superior came out because remember the Chief Collins, he wouldn't come out and take the complaint. So Chad Reed's superior took the complaint. Never heard another word. Nobody ever acknowledged it. I sent the chief an email. He never even acknowledged it. I had to copy the mayor and ask her if the guy really existed. And I got one response from him on something stupid and unrelated to how poor they handle holding themselves accountable. This place is a fucking ticking time bomb. I mean, ticking time bomb. We talk about Westminster. Look what happened there. It's the same thing. It's these municipal agencies. They literally get away with murder because they're all buddies. And there are so many levels of qualified immunity that it just doesn't even matter. So why would they hold themselves accountable, right? So I'm going to go to city council when I can, hopefully next week. But in the process, I have to finish this one step. And this is going to be a telling step because these are some other pieces that had to come together on people that have wanted to file complaints before. So. Look at this lovely melting weather we're having. So remember, here's the new Englewood, like $30 billion, probably only $30 million new facility, all high tech. So they have all their privacy, right? But if you want privacy, you need to show us your Sam's Club card so you can pick up a police report that's about you with a picture of you. Oh, this place is stupid. It's so stupid. It's dangerous. That's what makes it so bad. They do what they want. Somebody told me last night that they worry about my safety with dealing with these guys. And I did have a nice end response for Sergeant Chad Reed and essentially told him what they already know, that they're a bunch of women beaters anyway, so they don't have a problem with Brian, Brian, getting confrontational with people. What's that? For a camera. Oops. I hope nobody saw that. So is this... Hi, if I wanted to file a complaint, or find out how I do that, what information do you have for me?
You would have to go out these doors and pick up that phone and ask to speak to an officer.
Oh, what if I don't want to speak to anybody? I just want to know your process.
That's the process.
You don't have any information to give me that would...
I get information.
No, I don't want that. So I want to know what other options I would have to understand the process.
You said that you want to make a police report.
No, I didn't. I said I wanted to make a complaint.
That's the same thing.
A complaint and a police report are two different things. I want to make a complaint about the Englewood Police Department.
Right. So if you want to make a complaint, you're going to have to pick up the phone to speak to someone to make that complaint.
I don't want to speak to anybody. I want to know what your process is.
I just told you.
That's the only process you offer is to pick up that phone?
What process would you like?
I want to understand your complaint process. If you're going to file a complaint.
That's the complaint process.
That's your complaint process. Okay, thanks. That's exactly what I needed to know. They're a bunch of liars. They're a bunch of liars. So remember, she's the same one that wouldn't give me the picture of me without me showing my picture ID. Do you remember her? She's Flip, and she's, quite frankly, she's just a bitch. I mean, whatever, that's cool. Bitch on bitch. But see, that's the kind of stuff right there. And as bitchy as she doesn't give a shit if she knows what she's talking about or not. So if someone were to come in here and want to understand that process, you do what that bitch tells you, because that's the only process. Well, guess what? It's not. So Inglewood has some serious, deep bitch problems. And we're going to start putting them on the record, because I'd like this to be a case not like Westminster. Not like where I learn about Westminster after a dear Timmy Henley ends up dead. I don't know. All these flags, all these, the warning signs are there. What are the people going to do about it? You're going to sit and wait for these dangerous bitch cops to keep acting like a bunch of bitches? I mean, they treat the homeless like shit here. They treat them like shit. And they're doing some really questionable stuff. So, do you also remember when I took my friend to get on the docket here in Englewood, the homeless friend? You remember him? Yeah, we're not gonna say we're not gonna say his name anymore. We're not gonna talk about him anymore, because guess what? My glasses are steaming up. Yeah, he went to jail. He went to jail this past weekend. And I still am not 100% sure who the arresting agency was. He told me it was Sheridan. I'm not 100% sure because he disappeared from the jail system roster while he was still in the jail. He called me from the jail, but he also gave me some conflicting information about why he was in jail. And he wanted me to bond him out. But before I can do that, I need to understand what's going on. Because, as you know, you can get yourself in really bad situations by bonding people out of jail. I don't want anybody to have to sit in jail that doesn't belong in jail. And as far as what I know about that man, and so far, he doesn't belong in jail. Okay? But I didn't bond him out of jail. And I couldn't find him in the jail system. So I sent a text to his phone, his pay-as-you-go phone, because I figured once he got out, he would at least call me, maybe for a ride or something. And I said, hey, I can't find you in the jail system. Are you out? And I didn't get a text from him. I didn't get a text from him until a day later. And he was very mad at me. And I think he thinks I set him up for all of that. And he said to me, thanks a lot. You just made life worse for me. Now I'm more broke than ever. Something of that effect. Well, that was that effect. So I am not going to make contact with him unless he makes contact with me. And then it's just going to be left at that. But this guy is buried in the Englewood Municipal Courts. Buried. Okay, I can't answer that right now. So that's bothering me a lot. And these guys, with the way they're acting with the homeless, there's a lot more going on here than anyone knows, or that's even being talked about, or that's even being seen. Remember, these idiots don't have any body cams. They'll do what the fuck they want. And they don't even have to give out their cards. They can fucking block your filming. They can haul people off in cop cars, asking someone if they want to go to the hospital, calling it a quote unquote mental health crisis. Think about that. It's very, very serious shit. And that was really unfortunate that they didn't take this complaint as very, very serious as I expected them to. So I guess I'm going to have to devote a lot of time over here, and I'm just going to have to make the time to do that. So that's the goal right now. But here's something even more interesting. You want to hear this? But you have to tell me you want to hear this. Because remember, I'm boring. I'm like friggin' classroom time. You got to tell me if you want to hear it. If not, I'll let you go. Yeah, John, I'm kind of wondering if that's the case. If they, I don't know. Sheridan, you know, that other shithole, just right next here, right next to this Englewood, is the city of Sheridan. It's that really tiny town that has the photo radar that I was out on the street telling that lady to go get a real fucking job. That's Sheridan. So Englewood and Sheridan and Denver all converge right here, essentially where that homeless man is and some other homeless people. And so I know that they're within those city limits of Denver and Englewood and Sheridan. And when he called me from jail the first time, where he did get picked up was Sheridan. And they took his bike too. That's the other thing. I really wish he'd reach out to me because see, this is why I can't make that stuff public. This is why I didn't want to do that in the process of trying to establish this nonprofit. But if you don't show people that you really do this shit and that you're really doing it all the time and you're trying to talk to people. So anyway, now I got to step way back again because I don't know what the exact reason is he went to jail. But anyway, yeah, so you want to hear the other thing. So the complaint on Denver. You guys are going to love this. This is actually kind of good news because remember, Denver has the Office of the Independent Monitor, and they are civilian employees, meaning they are not sworn peace officers. They're not sworn in the state of Colorado. They're civilian employees. This is under the Hancock administration. It started back in 2005 because the Denver Police Department, like here, they just start out with this little stuff and then, they just start killing people over and over and over and over and over. And then people get pissed, right? But only after people are dead. So they started this Office of the Independent Monitor, which has a citizen oversight board. So if you know how to file complaints in Denver on the Denver Police Department, you do not ever file a complaint with the Denver Police Department. You do it through the Office of the Independent Monitor. You can do it online. It's very simple. That's where I do all my complaints because they're overseen by that office. And then the complaints go back to that office. Well, you'll recall I was bitching yesterday or whenever it was, and I posted that phone call because I had called the Office of the Independent Monitor a week or so ago, and they said, oh, well, Sergeant Khaleesi has your complaint. I said, I haven't heard a damn word from anyone. I said, what is the status of the complaint? Well, you should call him. Well, I even gave him an extra week, and I didn't hear anything. So I started making calls again yesterday. So I nothing. Nobody calls me back. This morning rolls around. I call the Office of the Independent Monitor again, had to leave another voicemail. I said, look, I need one of your monitors to call me back. Somebody from this office needs to call back and explain to me why this complaint is being ignored. Well, I got a call back from you. It is something like being anonymous. You can do that, John. Except they want your address and some other things, but there's a way to do it online that's a little bit different, because the Office of the Independent Monitor doesn't make you give your address right off the bat. But they eventually want your address to mail you letters, which is another whole topic that we're working on. But anyway, one of the monitors calls me today, calls me back, and he wanted to let me know that the Denver Police Department investigated themselves, sent them the letter. Now, if you remember what this complaint is about, red-handed, caught that cop speeding down Santa Fe. I mean, the dude was doing like 75 miles an hour. I did it by driving. I was driving in my car, right? Because it's really only distracted driving if you cause an accident. And our texting laws are super weak here in the state. And, people do work in their vehicles with their cell phones. So this whole bullshit about, texting and driving and all of this, we made a law and we fixed it all. No, they didn't. So cops drive distracted all the time, and it's totally cool that they do it, right? I mean, they can be all over the friggin' road. So I caught him red-handed on my speedometer in the video. And guess what the Denver Police Department told the Office of the Independent Monitor? They initially told them that I didn't supply enough video to prove that he was driving recklessly and carelessly, which he was. I had one clip of a video. I had two separate videos. By the time I got my phone out and up, I was driving. And I saw him. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing? He was cutting across 3 lanes of traffic, just freaking flooring it to get to every light, to be the first at the light. There was a bunch of lights on this road, right? And I got right up behind him to begin. I was directly behind him, and we were turning left onto it's on Santa Fe. Let's call it Santa Fe. And it's a one-way. And it's a straight shot kind of out of downtown to come out of Denver and get into the suburbs. It's a major road. It's got high speed limits. Eventually, it's like 55 is the speed limit when he was doing about 75 or 80. But when he pulled out, he was just freaking cutting people off to get to the. I'm like, bullshit. I'm like, who the hell's gonna monitor this? So I whip out my cell phone. Of course, I'm a great multitasker. I can do all kinds of shit and drive. Never had a wreck. Never. And so I get these couple clips of video. Well, the one clip doesn't show enough to show him driving carelessly or recklessly. And he used his turn signal once, right? And it was in the clip that I got. So now that's thrown out the window. Oh, and as far as him speeding, because he was busted red-handed, I mean, you're going to fucking argue my speedometer? I mean, it was right there, all on video. I put it on my speedometer. I put it up on him driving, and he's just hauling ass down the road. Well, he was going to assist another cop that had called him. I mean, go figure. He was on his way to go help some friends. And so it's okay. And then they finished the letter by telling me, as a Department of Public Safety, we never encourage people to drive distracted. Now, here's where it gets even better. And this monitor at the Office of the Independent Monitor, he was very professional. He said, Miss Benson, I will tell you, that's, why our office exists. I said, yeah, I know. I said, it's awesome that you guys are still overseeing these and working these, because they kind of left me hanging on my last complaint. And I have a feeling that's why this one is being handled like this, because the Denver Police Department, they're not going to deal with me anymore, because I I'm on their ass about everything all the time. I'm on their Facebook page, and I don't get on there and say, oh, fuck you, fuck them, die, die, die. No, I get on there and I make some pretty prudent points, and I make some pretty prudent points when I file complaints, right? So they're done dealing with me because the last complaint they substantiated technically would have allowed me to go sue Denver because there was a cop that interfered with my recording with the flashlight. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was a long time ago. I filed a complaint on that stupid asshole. And they actually substantiated that complaint. They did their job. And so I'm sure, they put it in his personnel file because the goal is to get these guys documented so citizens have the ability, to go start requesting their personnel files. We know that's why that law was made in Colorado. We want to start exposing these cops by their names, by their personnel histories, by what's going on in their departments. So you see why Englewood doesn't even want to do an investigation on their own, because then they actually have to form that personnel record. And they know I'm going to come get it. So we're just not going to do an investigation. Fuck it. Our guys, they can do whatever they want. And we'll just wait. I mean, if something really bad happens, if somebody, really gets dismembered or killed, then we'll probably have to actually do an investigation. But in the meantime, screw this. This lady's a pain in the ass. Just let this shit go, right? But the bonus piece to the Office of the Independent Monitor in Denver is that it's not supposed to work that way. And guess what? It didn't. The Office of the Independent Monitor sent it back for further review. Like they should have. Like what should happen when there's an extra layer of accountability and transparency. That office works for me. They don't work for that police department. They work to protect me, to validate citizen concerns and complaints, and to hold that fucking police department accountable. So, yes, Hancock, you have a department that's continuing to work, even though you don't have a director of safety right now, Department of Safety. Troy Riggs quit, so things are all freaky over in Denver. Things are kind of weird in Denver. And it made me nervous because I'm thinking, wow, if the Office of the Independent Monitor isn't working, shit, we're really screwed. Because people don't understand this layer, that they need to utilize it and that they need to make it work. And that they need to start going to these public meetings, which are only quarterly. That's a pain in the ass, but this process will work in Denver if you're following up on it. So the monitor sent it back to Denver, and Denver issued a verbal, I don't know exactly what the words were. I'm going to get the letter in the mail. The independent monitor talked to me about the finding ultimately resulted in the cop getting some kind of counseling of his driving habits, and it was put in his personnel file, like it should. So that was good. This was the good news today. I was really relieved because I thought, wow, the complaint process in Denver is gone, but it's not. So do not ever file complaints with the Denver Police Department. It's always online through the Office of the Independent Monitor. So that's the good news in that. And Englewood, nothing will change over here. People will have to die first. There will have to be something absolutely horrible happen. Even though the writing is on the wall. They have another case over here that really kind of blew up and then went away. These cops opened fire on a woman over here at the hospital. She was with her boyfriend. I don't even know what all the details are about how she ended up in this car. But it did come out that the officers were nowhere in the vicinity of where she was driving, and they went ahead and just opened fire on her. She survived, but because she had a criminal history and probably maybe was in a stolen vehicle, they were allowed to open fire on her in a parking garage of a hospital. You're right. We all know how that goes. So Englewood's got their share of things over here. Oh, and guess what? Guess what else? They have some Brady listed cops. If anybody knows anything about Brady listing, it's one little fun area that we've never explored as activists and auditors. And if auditors were doing this, they'd have a lot of video. They'd have a lot of things to talk about. But we don't really like to talk about stuff and get stuff done. So I'm going to start this other project with the Brady listed cops. Just type in Brady listed cops. You'll get it. They have one. Still works here. Why? I don't know. But I think that's good stuff for the public record. So yeah, Englewood, I'll be back. Way to go, Sergeant Reed. Fucking moron. So are you talking about if he'd have killed, oh, the cop that was driving, that was speeding? Yeah, the speed limit was 55. Oh, and the monitor said that in the explanation, there wasn't much traffic. There wasn't much traffic in the 4 lanes, so there really was no threat or concern about public safety. Yeah, just accept me, right there. I mean, fuck it. I mean, what if I'd have got distracted? Like filming him, right? What if I would have maybe made a little swerve over into his lane? He wouldn't have been able to stop, would he? No, because he was going too fucking fast. And it happens to be on that same stretch of road that's in the Vision Zero plan of Denver, where Mayor Hancock says we're going to have 0 traffic fatalities. Unbelievable. The fucking hypocrisy is mind blowing. I don't know. So anyway, I'm gonna go do a couple other things. I just needed that little bit of footage to know that I can put that on the record with the city, that if you walk in there, they're not going to tell you their process. They're going to make you pick up the phone. They're going to make you pick up the phone out there in the lobby. So if you need to learn anything about their process, that is the process. Bitch. Talk to you guys later. Bye, Ed. Thank you. Maybe. Hold on. I'm all distracted in my driving. I'm all caught up in my seatbelt. Oh my God, somebody call the cops. Help me. Help me.